All right, joining us now on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line is ESPN's Mina Kimes from the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny as well. Mina, thank you so much for taking the time.
Hello, thank you for having me.
All right, so here's where I want to start. Your latest podcast, you're going over all the quarterback battles, as most of them have been decided, and you're canvassing the league for these like mid quarterbacks. Do you have a Tanner McKee opinion?
I think that he would be the starter on three of the quarterback battle teams I talked about. I would see him winning in Indianapolis. I think he would win in New Orleans. I think he would win in Cleveland. So does that qualify as a Tanner McKee opinion?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, what do you think that he would? You know, we've been debating the like what the trade value would be. The Eagles are
Yeah.
not going to trade him right now before the season. This would be more of an off season discussion. But like, yeah, do you think he'd be worth a one or a two?
Not a one. Calm down. It's interesting because of the timing aspect. Right now, the three teams I mentioned, he would absolutely be worth it too. But as you said, they're not going to do it during the season because the Eagles are on a very different timeline from those teams. They have very different priorities, right? They are in this to win the Super Bowl again. So he is arguably more valuable to the Eagles than he would be to most teams in the NFL because backup quarterback is more valuable, more important to them. However, if you wait until next offseason, we'll see where those teams' records land. A lot of them are going to be in a position to draft a quarterback. So his value proposition goes down. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of,
Yes.
yes, somebody would trade for him. Yes, certainly at least a mid-round pick. But I think the ability to get that much moving forward is going to be really dependent on what position those teams are in.
I think my favorite potential fit is one that you would be kind of close to, and I think I got to give Nate Tice a shout out here because I think he's the one who mentioned it. Maybe in the offseason, the Rams, because if you're thinking this team is going to be good enough, they're not going to have a high pick, but they need
Yeah.
a succession plan. You know, if they fell in love with Tanner McKee, maybe that could be a fit.
Yeah, it's a fun idea. I've seen the Rams brought up as like a place for a developmental quarterback, like an Anthony Richardson type. But I think that the logic you just laid out makes a lot more sense to me. This is not a rebuilding team, right? Like the time for the Rams to draft a developmental quarterback was 2 years ago, not
Right.
now. And yeah, the Rams though, you said they don't have a pick. They do have the Falcons pick.
Oh, I
And
forgot about
yeah,
that.
so that
Oh
actually
man.
adds, I know, right? But that adds a lot of intrigue too. They're playing on Monday Night Football, I think in week 17. I think it's the last Monday night game. And I was looking at that because we're PHLY, we're on site for the Monday night game. So I'm looking at the schedule, trying to figure out, where I'm going to be at the end of the year when it's cold. And I first when I saw the game, I was like, ugh, like
Right.
how much is this going to matter? But that certainly adds an extra layer of intrigue to it and really incentivizes the Rams to go out and win it, even if perhaps they have the division locked up because, depending on how things shake out with the Falcons, that could be a decently valuable pick.
No doubt about it. All right, go ahead, EJ.
All right. Shifting from the Tanner McKee chat,
Yeah, we got enough Tanner. Yeah.
somebody who we might see on the field a little bit more than Tanner McKee this season is Cooper DeJean. Mina, I want to ask you about the second cornerback spot opposite Quinyon Mitchell on the outside. We've seen Cooper DeJean start to get some snaps there in the Eagles' base defense. Vic Fangio did mention that does not mean that he is necessarily going to be a full-time outside cornerback for them. I think some things would have to happen both at nickel and on the outside. I'm curious, though, what your, I guess, projection for Cooper DeJean playing on the outside would be based off the tape you saw from him in college and what we saw from him in the nickel last season.
He, based on what we saw in college, can absolutely play outside. I think the problem for Philadelphia is he is already one of the best nickels in the NFL, right? So do you want to shake up a good thing just to compensate for maybe the only hole in this entire roster? The Eagles are primarily going to be in nickel, so it's not going to be like a massive number of snaps we're talking about. So I guess I don't have an issue with it situationally, but for the most part, I think Cooper should be a nickel first and foremost. Nickel's also just so important in today's NFL, and you really saw that at the end, right? Particularly against a team like Kansas City in the Super Bowl. But to have a versatile, smart nickel who's outstanding at defending the run, who's a great tackler, who you can also blitz, it's so valuable. It's so important. So I wouldn't be thrilled if it was a huge part of how he plays. But, CB2 remains the question.
It's a big question, and they're trying to solve it. And yeah, I mean, it has been bad enough this summer that now they have to flirt with the possibility of Cooper DeJean on the outside. But I don't think they have anybody they trust enough in the nickel to do that full time. Do you have a sense of like long term where you would like Cooper DeJean to be? Because there are some people in the building who think like safety, he'll be an all pro safety. He can also be an all pro caliber nickel. But eventually, you would imagine, his agents are going to want him to be on the outside. That's where he can make the most money.
It is, but should it be? I mean, nickel is
Well, I agree with
base
you.
now, right? Like, so I think I think Trent McDuffie's contract might be up. That's one to watch. Although he's been playing, he was another one though. I mean, I feel like I'm speaking both sides of my mouth. I thought he should stay in nickel. I think he is the best in nickel, but he was really good playing outside. They're pretty similar players in my mind. I think similar caliber as well. I think DeJean could be similar to McDuffie, but yeah, Devin Witherspoon in Seattle is the other one. There's a lot of guys who play inside, outside, and when you see the way cornerback contracts have gone, really in the last just year now, they stagnated forever. And then we had the Stingley contract, the J.C. Horn contract. Suddenly they're going up again. I wouldn't blame them, but if I'm their agents, I'm making a case that position is just as valuable. I believe it's just as valuable. And again, think about like where offensive football is going with all the condensed formations, right? It's just, I don't know. I do not believe that there's a good football reason why a all-pro nickel should make less than an all-pro corner. I really don't. And
I can also see that being attractive to the Eagles because they're going to pay Cooper DeJean what Cooper DeJean is worth no matter what. And if they pay him that as a nickel, they're raising the floor for the rest of the league for this position. They're resetting that market, and they don't have to deal with it because they've already got the best one.
Yeah, it's a problem that we don't have to worry about right now. He is in his second year, but yeah, that's going to be an interesting decision for him. The other thing I think is possible is that the Eagles find a corner solution long before Cooper DeJean's contract is up. I would hope so, right? Because, that would mean you have 2 or 3 years of substandard CB2 play, which I know they don't want.
Do you have a Jacorian Bennett opinion after his year with the Raiders last year?
Yeah, I was actually a little bit surprised by that from the Raiders' standpoint, just because they're so thin in their secondary, and I think he's given you enough, and I liked him enough as a prospect to where they're, again, given the status of their secondary, it felt odd to me that they were going to move on from him. I know that they obviously also need help on the defensive line, but I would say with him, and again, it's all relative. We're not comparing him to Quinyon Mitchell. You're comparing him to Keely Ringo, right? And I guess Adoree. Good in coverage. I think he has good speed and athleticism, and he is smart. I don't think he's complete in the way that maybe Vic Fangio would like his perimeter corners to be in terms of as a tackler, and maybe we'll see it a little bit too much underneath. But I think he has probably a higher ceiling than those other 2 corners on the roster.
I think that tracks.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I do wonder from your perspective, Mina, like, is there very many ways to insulate that outside cornerback spot that maybe, a layman might not be aware of? Because it does feel like it's going to be hard because again, this battle has been uninspiring for most of training camp. Nobody has really separated themselves. Is there a way to kind of compensate for the fact that you might not be overly confident in that spot?
Well, you guys know, obviously, they'll cloud a safety over. They'll give whoever it is help. Teams will largely avoid Quinyon Mitchell. From a coverage standpoint, you can at least stop the bleeding, but teams are going to attack it. I think about Denver, right? And Patrick Surtain and last year when Riley Moss came back from the injury, before he was injured, he was actually playing really well. But when he came back, I mean, that was just, and when he was out, it's just the teams attacked it mercilessly. There is some, benefit to the predictability of it. This is why, and I know I'm kind of like contradicting what I said earlier, but why having a true shutdown corner on the outside is so valuable. And I do believe that the Eagles have that in Quinion Mitchell. You know what offenses are going to do. It's going to be pretty obvious, right? But to me, it just comes down to like, who is the matchup? If you're facing a team that really can put a 1A, 1B type, and the Eagles don't travel with their corners on the opposite side of the field, that's going to be another interesting decision that they're going to, Vic Fangio, if it gets so bad, do you consider changing the way you utilize your corners more so that you can't get picked on? That's going to be an interesting decision.
We have seen that this summer. Quinion has been following and switching sides. So my expectation is when they play teams where that makes sense, we probably will see that with Quinion this year. All right, I mean, I have a stork rank for you. This is I'm going to ask you to rank these 4 things from least likely to most likely. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Jalen Hurts finishes top 3 in MVP voting.
Okay.
A.J. Brown leads the league in receiving.
Okay.
Jalen Carter wins Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
And the Eagles miss the playoffs.
Okay. Least likely. Oh, boy. Okay. Jalen top 3.
Okay.
A.J. Brown leads the league in receiving,
Yeah,
you said?
it's very specific, yeah.
Okay. Carter, DPOY, and then the Eagles missing the playoffs.
Wow, Mina is predicting the Eagles are going to miss the playoffs.
No. I wasn't ranking them. I was just repeating you. I'm sorry.
Yes.
That was not my ranking. I wanted to.
I mean, you
take
could make.
mental
I think
stock
that's not unrealistic. That is the most likely. A couple injuries.
Okay, so all right, let's do this. I don't think it's the most likely. I'm gonna go. It's so hard to win DPOY as a defensive tackle.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is so clearly the best player in that, or the guy. Okay, I'm gonna go most to least because that's just easier for my brain.
Yeah.
I actually think Hurts MVP is the most likely of the 3.
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, if the team is really good and it's not
the best team,
Saquon's
and he has
offense,
and he takes another leap year,
right.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna go. Man, AJ doesn't get that much volume though. I'll go Jalen next, then AJ, then the Eagles miss playoffs.
Wow. Okay. So you no way they're going to miss the playoffs. Mina Kimes says the Eagles are not going to miss the playoffs.
Well, God, yeah. I know. I guess like if Jalen Hurts got hurt, and I still think they would make the playoffs.
They got Tanner McKee.
They got Tanner McKee. Yeah.
Let me swap that one with. I don't think AJ is going to lead the receiver. It's just not how the offense is.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think that's fair. What else you got, AJ?
Mina, we've spent a lot of time in training camp looking at the bottom of the depth chart wide receivers, and there is a cult hero that is starting to emerge. Now, I'm not going to ask you about the cult hero because that's pretty in the weeds.
Yeah, let's get Mina's thoughts on Darius Cooper. Here we go.
But I do want to know if you had to build like a wide receiver for this Eagles offense in a lab, a guy who can complement the players that they already have and the system that they run. What would you be envisioning for that player?
I mean, I would really love. That's a great question because AJ Brown and DeVonta complement each other so well. Part of me actually wishes that you could have more of like a really super twitched up slot guy so that you can just have DeVonta as the flanker to stretch the field. And then the Eagles, just somebody who can just be a check down guy who can constantly get you like 8 or 9 yards underneath. But DeVonta could do that as well. But I think that if like an Edelman type would be the perfect type of, in my mind, because I would just love what that would do for DeVonta Smith.
Yeah, it's interesting because also
I don't like DeVonta like getting a lot of contact over the middle of the field. Like
he's so efficient when he's in the slot. It's like
I know
that's like their superpower sometimes is putting him in there. But yeah, I agree. You don't want him in there all the time.
Yeah, I think just someone who can do like a lot of the dirty work. A blocker would be really nice. Somebody who's a good blocker.
Okay.
Mechie brings to the table a little
Mechie,
bit.
right?
Yeah.
Mechie fits that.
That sounds like Darius Cooper to me.
I think Darius Cooper might be a household name at some point this season.
Household name. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 more quick things, Mina. We've been talking like fanciful trades, I kind of want to just make a Seahawks trade with you.
Okay.
So what do
Sure.
the Seahawks need? Because I'm hoping we can borrow like a depth edge rusher from you.
Oh, interesting. Seahawks have an interesting edge rush group. It's just Chenanosu was just activated because they have a lot of really good players, but no great ones at edge.
Like
but they
could
have a
we
lot of really
pry
good
Derek
players.
Hall? Is that too crazy?
Yeah, like that type. No, it's not too crazy. They're pretty deep there too. I would say the Seahawks need. I mean, another receiver. I know everybody's really excited about Torrey Horton, who's a Seahawks 5th-round draft pick, who's looked really good in the preseason.
Derek
but
Hall for Jahan Dotson. We'll do it.
I don't think that would do it.
And
a guard. A guard. I mean, I know Anthony Bradford's looked pretty good in the preseason for Seattle, but you never feel good about the guard depth there. Although, guard depth, I don't think that's something that Philadelphia.
Yeah, we're wanting over here as well.
Yeah, it's a weird year.
I mean, I don't think Matt Pryor is going to move the needle for you there.
Problem with Philly is no team has a surplus of cornerbacks right now.
Right.
Well,
we could do, if you liked Keely Ringo coming out of the draft, maybe.
Not my player.
Okay. All right, we'll have to get back to the drawing board. Okay, last thing, I have to do this for our buddy Fran because he spent so much time in the draft process talking about his favorite player in the draft, our All-City NFL analyst, Fran Duffy. How has Willie Lampkin looked?
Oh, he got hurt the last game.
He did? I didn't know that.
I was okay. This is a funny one because Rams preseason, which I truly didn't know that they picked him up in free agency, right? I'm not keeping track of the UDFA signings around the league. Then you're looking at the depth chart for the first preseason game, and I see him, and I get really excited. Comes into the game, and I'm gassing him up to the point where everyone's like, "Are you really this is we're in the third quarter. This is an undrafted center. He's tiny."
Are you making fun of him? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm telling you guys. And I got a little grief for it. People were like, you weren't grinding with him. It's like, yeah, I wasn't. I was watching Omarion Hampton, and Drake May. All of us who do the draft have just watched a lot of UNC over the last couple of years because of those first rounders. But watching Omarion Hampton, I thought I was like, this kid looks unbelievable. I was so impressed by him, and it's also just so physically unique. I mean, when he's on the field,
it's crazy.
It is really. Yeah, and centers are short. Obviously, Philly is no stranger to that with Kelsey, but he is short, right? And he played so well in week 1. Then in week 2, he got injured pretty quickly, which was such a bummer. So we'll see what happens. The Rams are in a unique spot because they actually have a ton of center depth. They brought back Coleman Shelton from Chicago and Bo Limmer, who started for them. Jalen Carter knows Bo Limmer, by the way. From the
and Dylan McMahon, my guy Dylan McMahon.
Yeah. So they have a lot of center depth. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with Lampkin, but I feel like he's going to get picked up somewhere.
Okay, like that. We'll take that. All right, Mina, thank you so much. We will talk to you in a couple of weeks. The great Mina Kimes of ESPN. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Hopefully know who's CB2 by then.
Hopefully. All right, back with more on the other side here on the PHLY Eagles podcast.